Kindergarten Cop is a 1990 Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy film. This was the same year that Arnold Schwarzenegger did a Total Recall, which I personally think is one of his very best films. And even though I don't think that Kindergarten Cop is quite as good as Total Recall, this one is probably Schwarzenegger's best comedy. Like, sometimes Schwarzenegger will do some action comedy stuff, but like in terms of like just straight up comedy without really any action, yeah, Kindergarten Cop is probably his best. You know, if you disagree, that's fine, whatever. But I do know that this is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger's personal favorite film that he's done because of the family and child aspect to it. Even though the movie written on paper is just a cop who goes undercover as a kindergarten teacher, still, the way that the movie is able to handle some underlying themes and develop some of the characters that include Arnold himself and some of the students, all that stuff actually is well done. It is pretty tender, and none of that is done in a really cheap way at all. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is it starts off as just typical Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a cop. He does some one-liners, and he's really every criminal's worst nightmare. But one of his most recent perps gets away, and he finds out that the guy's ex-wife is hiding out under a new identity with their son, and Arnold and his new partner, who's played in the movie by Pamela Reed, they try to find out whereabouts the guy's wife is and get answers about some loot and all that kind of stuff. The Pamela Reed's character actually used to be a kindergarten teacher before she joined the force, so it makes sense for her to go undercover as a kindergarten teacher at that Oregon town, find out who the kid is, eventually find out who the mother is, take the bad guy down once and for all. But she gets food poisoning, so Arnold takes her place. And he eventually falls in love with one of the fellow teachers in the school. And the fellow teacher that he falls in love with happens to have a son who is one of Arnold's students. So yeah, seeing one of the biggest action stars in the world portray someone who can't handle screaming 5-year-olds, it is pretty funny to see. There are some really funny jokes in here. And, even though the movie really doesn't achieve any sort of really high standard that something like the Terminator films did, or even Total Recall from that same year, just because Kindergarten Cop does not reach that doesn't mean that this doesn't have some really good aspects to it. As I said, the acting is good, the themes of parents and children and just all that stuff, it ties in really, really well together. And, even though this movie, it's not like the best film of 1990, it's not the funniest, it still is a movie that I definitely recommend people check out. I think you all will like it. And, if you don't feel like buying it, then, cue it in on your, on whatever device that you have, whether it's Crave or Netflix, wherever you live. So be it. Do it like that, and you won't regret it. I'll give Kindergarten Cop from 1990 3 stars out of 4.